welcome back to my channel, The Sweary Sewist. I'm Nicole. I'm videoing without glasses today because I'm sick of having this fight with the lights, so I can't see crap. So forgive me if I show you something and I think it's in focus and it turns out it isn't. It's been a little while. I didn't realize it had been so long. A lot has been going on. As usual, it's never calm and quiet in my household. I actually can't remember where I left off the last video, whether I mentioned that I had to go to Sydney with my daughter. She had to have surgery after she face planted about 6 months ago and smashed her nose and hasn't been able to breathe or smell anything since. So we went maybe just the week after I uploaded the last video. So went to Bondi, had a couple of days there. I just don't know if I've mentioned this, so apologies if I have. I did go to Spotlight, Bondi Junction. I make a point of going to Spotlight or whatever fabric shops are around wherever I go, and I was a little bit surprised at, I guess, how disorganized it was and cramped, I guess. So anyway, now that I've say that, I feel like I did mention that before. Anyway, as I say, lots been going on. Had my other child unwell as well. She's also just moved house, so we've been through this whole trying to find a share house for her, the physical move, the cleaning up after the move, etc, etc. So I'm actually on leave this week. I'm on, it's not so much forced leave, but I have too much leave, so if I don't take some now, I'm going to be put on forced leave. So I'm just doing it at a time that is convenient to me. The good news on the job front, I believe I mentioned there was a risk of being made redundant. So as of a week and a half ago, that's been settled and I managed to keep my job. So that's a relief because I need that money for fabric and crap. It was a process. It was stressful. There was a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of worry, and I'm glad it's over. Now the big job begins, but I'm up for that challenge, so that's okay. And I will be getting some more team members to take some of the load off, so looking forward to that. I've got a little list of things here that I need to catch up on. So in other news, my daughter is currently looking for a new cardiologist because hers got arrested. I knew as soon as I saw this news article, I knew that it was her cardiologist, and he's now banned from practicing. So that's a bit of a problem because we were this close to a diagnosis. We were actually that close to a procedure. They believed that they knew what was wrong. They thought that she had atrial fibrillation. Did I mention anything about the AI? I don't know. Let me know in the comments if I've already mentioned what happened with the AI and the data. But they believe she has atrial fibrillation. They were going to do this thing called an ablation where they burn, guess it's the overactive part of the heart. She was booked in for that for the first week of March, and then other things happened. So we are, she's lined up, I believe, a new cardiologist, and guess what? We have to go back to Sydney. So it's not great, but I guess it's not the worst possible outcome. What else is on my list? I think that's all the newsworthy stuff. So I have, as always, done a little bit of shopping because that's what I do. I mentioned that the fabric shop that I love in Goulburn, Shelley's Sewing Centre, is closing down, and in fact they might have already closed now. They were due to close end of February or early March, and given that it's now mid-March, I'd say they're gone. So that's pretty sad. Hopefully they'll take their business online and I can continue to shop with them. I did go out there again and I bought a few things. I'm a big fan of Biani patterns, and so I bought the picnic basket one. Don't know if you can quite see that. So I also, I love a picnic. And I don't know whether it's the picnic itself that I love or just the idea of packing all the food in little containers and organising it. And anyway, hopefully I'll get to making that. I've shown you before an Anzac panel that I had, and I don't think I'm going to be able to fit this in the shot. I did get another Anzac panel at Shelley's. This one, I think I actually, like, let me see if I can show you. I can't get the whole thing in, so I'll probably take a photo, but you get the gist. It's more based on the Australian flag, this one, and I believe it has the ode. No, it says, and this is where I come unstuck not wearing my glasses. It says, when can their glory fade, the wild change they made? All the world wondered, honour the charge they made, honour the Light Brigade, noble, does that say 600? It's called the Charge of the Light Brigade. I've actually never heard it, so I don't know if that's un-Australian of me, but I've actually never heard that. So that one's pretty cool. And of course I had to get more poppy fabric because now I have to make up 2 of those panels. So that's a job. The other, I got 2 other fabrics out there, and I can't even explain why, but I'm attracted to bright colours, and I don't, like all of us, I don't think about what I'm going to do with fabric. I just see pretty fabric, and the colours, I have no idea what I'll do with this, but check this out. How good is that? Kind of makes you a bit dizzy if you stare at it too long. I have no idea what I'll do with it, but I don't care. And in fact, if I was going to go back, if they were still open and I was going to go back this weekend, it would be for other colourways of that same fabric. And the other one that I bought out there was this, which is just like a little patchwork. It's the purple and the green that draws me into this. So again, these both, I can hear a mosquito in here. These are both just quilting cottons. So I'll do something with those. The other, I bought 2 other fabrics, not from there, just from Spotlight. Well, I bought 3, but one has a story. So I'm going to put this aside for the story in a second. So flannelette. I live in a cold climate. I love me a pair of flanny PJs with a hoodie. So, but how pretty is that? That's one of the prettiest flannelettes I've ever seen. So that's PJs for me. And the other fabric that I've bought, I mentioned that I was going to make a dress for a wedding. I think I showed the pattern for said dress. Well, I found some fabric. So this is, I have to just say 2 things. I'm not a dress girl, and I'm not a florals girl. Or I'm not a prints girl. But this is the fabric that I got. So it's like a grey sort of tone lavender background, flowers. It is a linen cotton blend. So I was actually terrified of how this would travel, whether it would be a scrunched up mess, but I pre-washed it and it's come out of the wash dead straight. So no wrinkle issues. So I'm going to make that dress. I want to know, should I video it? I don't know. Let me know if you think I should video it. That's when you get to see the absolute high point of my swearing and I'm doing garment sewing. So let me know. The other piece of fabric that I've bought, this has a story. So you know that I'm a sucker for sewing machines. But there's a reason why I buy every one of them. There was one machine that's like my holy grail, and it was a banana record. And the reason that I wanted a banana record is because that's what I learnt to sew on in high school with my favourite teacher. She's my absolute hero. I won't give her name, but she was my hero. She was, yeah, I've seen her in recent years, and I still love it a bit. So that's a memory for me. So these machines come up for sale, and they're always $700-800. I can't justify that. And then one came up locally, and it was $300, and it's in beautiful condition. And I said to my partner, oh, there's a Bonina record and it's $300. And he said, yeah, we'll go on. And I said, no, I can't justify $300, not at the moment, not with everything else. And he says, well, I can. I thought, well, okay, money bags. So we went and we picked it up. Now, the thing is, when I was a 12-year-old, it's a while ago, in year 7, the first thing that we made on the Bonina record was a gingham apron. So my first project, I'm going to put in a photo of the machine. I did have it set up over there. I had to put my overlocker back to do serious sewing. I'll put in a photo of the machine. I'm absolutely in love. I've named it Benny. Was going to be Helen after the original owner, but Benny seems to flow better. So Helen bought this machine in 1978 at the Eka show in Brisbane. She still has the original purchase receipt, and she put a new motor in it 10 years ago. So it has been so well loved. She did say that she might cry when I picked it up. She didn't cry, but I did assure her that it's going to a good home. So fun times ahead with that. So other than that, I went to a what do they call it? De-stash and treasure, or just stash and treasure, locally, 15 minutes up the road. And I was blown away by how much stuff was there. I went to one at a church about a year ago, and I was utterly overwhelmed by the number of people in the space, the number of stuff. It was a rainy day. I was so overstimulated that I think I bought some Halloween fabrics, and then I got the hell out of there because it was borderline. I was going to have a panic attack. So this one was a little bit more spread out. I got there early. There were fewer people there, and so I got to have a bit of a better look around. So this is not sewing related, but look at the sundaes on the front of this thing. So I like desserts. Surprise. So the sundaes, but also in here, there's lots of good stuff. Again, no glasses, but poached pears with chocolate cream, baked apples. Who doesn't love the smell of apples baking? But the other one that's in here that I really like the look of is there's a self-sourcing chocolate pudding. Now I can't find it, but it's in there. So lots of good stuff in there. There's also profiteroles. Sorry, the lights are not great. Profiteroles. There's baked custard. There's baked rice custard. I've never really understood that. Creamed rice. Again, I remember making creamed rice in high school cooking classes. Maybe I'm just scarred. Classic trifle. Pavlova. Not my way of doing pavlova. There's apple strudel. I really need to find the chocolate self-sourcing pudding. There's a summer pudding, which seems to be made from berries. And look, it's disappeared. There we go. Oh, nice. Anyway, so not sewing related, but from the de-stash, so I'm calling it. I also got from there a Madame Weagle's pattern. Madame Weagle, I believe, was around in the 1950s. I've got a couple of books of hers. She started a commercial pattern company. I can't off the top of my head remember her background, but these patterns have 0 markings, none whatsoever. So it's just to figure it out on your own situation. So but what I really liked about this one was in the little petticoat, you can see these side pleat details, and I love that. So one day I'll try and make that for one of my smocked gowns. A scarecrow pattern. I'm going to make this next year when my local, oh no, this year, it's already this year, when my local community association does the Christmas festival and they have a scarecrow competition. I'm going all out. I'm going to make a scarecrow and then a couple of magazines. And to be honest, I haven't even looked at these yet. And I don't know why I picked up these ones in particular. That one, I've no doubt I loved the quilt on the front because of the colours. No idea, but are these back to front? Maybe. Anyway, you might have to use your imagination. And then the other one, just a book that I picked up, Kids' First Book of Sewing. So what it is, Kids' First Book of Sewing. So I've got a couple of these sort of books. It's something that I've always thought about doing, is teaching kids to sew. You know, share the love, spread the joy. So I have a few, so I'll add that to my collection, and maybe someday. A lady down the road did ask me if I would do kids sewing classes in her home studio, but she doesn't have any insurance, and I just thought there was a few things that worried me a bit, so it wasn't worth the risk. The other thing I got, now excuse the rustling, who doesn't love a collection of vintage thread spools? Now I got not one, not two, but 3 bags. So I think there are 15 in each bag, and each bag was 15 bucks. So give or take $1 each. The colours are so vibrant. So I think what I'll do is now I'm on the hunt for something else. So I think I need a vintage looking thread stand, so I can put all of these on that somewhere near my vintage machines. Mind you, at the rate the vintage machine collection is going, that's going to be the whole room. I'll probably stop now. To be honest, there's one more machine that I would really like, which is an Elna Lotus. Again, that's just a thing. I don't know why. Actually, my best friend at school had an Elna Lotus. That's not the reason I want one. I don't know. I like the idea of anything that's compact. It's a bit out of control. So that is my haul, or hauls. So other than that stuff, as usual, I've been doing market preps. There's been some weird politics happen with the market that I usually do. I think we're getting to the bottom of the story, but it's been a little bit, she said, and you know, as an adult, I don't really want to be involved in that shit. I just want to turn up and do my thing and everybody to be nice to each other. But there's been some background lying and stuff going on. So there are new owners now. So hopefully that will all sort itself out. I'm not sure if I'm going to go back to that market because they're actually changing location. And the location they're changing to doesn't have good access for loading and unloading. And it is not, for anybody who does markets, it is not a good start to the day when you have to haul all your stuff a mile across roads. You can't leave it unattended, so there's nowhere to pull up to pile it all out on the side of the road because busy streets. I don't know, we'll see what happens with that one. I am going to try a different market on the 5th of April, so I'll probably put in a bit of footage of that. I did do a couple of weeks ago the pub, the Dalton Royal Hotel, the pub at Dalton, which I did last year as well. So that's really a nice little market. It was stinking hot, like disgustingly hot, but that was an okay day. And I'm very excited that I'm going to be participating in a big festival. I'm not going to talk too much about it now, but it's on the Anzac Day weekend. There's a festival that we happened to just come across last year while we were off picking up something that we bought on Marketplace. And there were market stalls, there was a street parade, fun stuff, live music, great atmosphere. So I've been very fortunate to be accepted as a stall holder for that. And I'm going to do a bit of extra prep for that. So I'm going to insert a clip. I've made some little bags. I'll just insert a clip of that. I was actually using some of the cheap crappy vinyl that I got from, no, I shouldn't say cheap crappy, some of the cheap heat transfer vinyl that I got from Temu in the autumn colours. It is quite a bit thinner than I would have probably liked, but it does the job. And for what I'm doing, I just wanted to do a bit of a value add. These are actually the bags that I will put my emergency poo packs in as they sell them at this particular event. So I'm going to put in a little clip here of the making of those bags, and I apologize for the orientation. I thought I was filming in landscape, but it's portrait. So other than that, while I'm on leave this week, I've just been doing a little project for a friend of mine who asked me to, this is a very complicated story, but her son is getting married in a couple of weeks, and they had a family tragedy a year and a half ago, and she asked me to make some little keepsakes for the bride and groom to just have close to them. So I've been working on that. I'm not going to put pictures in of that because that's a bit insensitive. That was a labor of love. So it was I felt a strong sense of responsibility with what I was working with, but hopefully it will keep the person they lost close to their hearts on their wedding day. I think that's about it for today. It's, like I said, a lot happening. I might put in some more footage of my market preps at the end of this. I'm making more poo packs. I've done a couple more mugs, and I'm working through a list of things that I just want to get done. It's about 6 weeks away, 5 weeks away, so I've got plenty of time. So we'll see what else I can get done. Whatever's happening in your life, I hope that you're well. I hope it's drama-free. We're now hopefully coming to, I shouldn't say hopefully, we're coming to the end of summer. I would actually be happy with fewer 30-degree days right now, because we've had no rain in weeks and weeks and weeks, and the garden is looking quite sad. So I would be glad to see some cooler days and cooler nights, but soon I'll be back bitching about the cold. So I believe that my partner has organised our first firewood delivery for this weekend. So that's how much he hates winter. He's willing to, actually drop several $100s in cash so that he doesn't go one night without heat. Thanks very much for tuning in. Give this video a like if you have enjoyed it. Feel free to leave me a comment. Love to hear your thoughts, and hope I'll see you again soon. Have a good day. See ya.